Hello everybody, my name's Jim, and this is the Finish the Book tag. So I wasn't actually properly tagged for this, but I watched MJ's video at Reading This Life, and I thought that this would be a fun tag to do for somebody who is just starting to read again. And this would also be a cool tag to do later on just to see if anything had changed. And if there are any other tags that you think I might like to do as a new-ish reader that I could come back to later just to see if there's any growth or any change with my answers a few years down the line after I've established a reading routine, just let me know in the comments because I don't know what tags are out there. But without further ado, I do want to just jump into the prompts here. So the first one is, do you keep a list of the books you have read? I do. I have a Goodreads account, and thanks to MJ's video, I now have a Storygraph account. I don't know if I'm going to keep up with Storygraph so much, but if I'm able to export my library from Goodreads and import to Storygraph from time to time just to keep it updated that way, then that would be ideal for me. But yeah, I do keep a list of the books that I've read. What stats do you record? So Storygraph has stats, which I love. I love the pie charts and the other various graphs that site provides. There are also some stats on Goodreads that I tend to follow, like my reading goal for the year. I track that. There's nothing that I necessarily track manually myself, but I do use those sites, and I like to check up on those from time to time just to see, my progress and get a better look into what I actually do like to read. I still haven't reviewed enough books to have recommendations on Goodreads, but I'm one book away, and I am finishing a few books up now, so I hope to start receiving recommendations from Goodreads very soon. Do you give star ratings? I do. So my star rating system is kind of weird because I break everything down into different categories and I rate the books that way. So sometimes I could end up with, I don't know, a book that's like 4.3 stars, which is odd, I know, but it's just based on the average star rating for each of those categories. I feel like that is the most accurate way that I could do it. I don't have any videos right now kind of going through that process because like I said, it's a little strange, but it is what I do just so I can feel confident and good about my overall rating. Kind of in general, I give 5-star ratings for books that I absolutely love. They are either thought-provoking or they were just reads that I could not put down. 2 of the 5-star reads that I recently reviewed are I'm Glad My Mom Died and Don't Cry for Me. Amazing books. 1-star ratings are for books that I DNF, that I never intend to pick up again. So yeah, those are typically books that I had to close because I simply did not like what I was reading. Those I hope will be rare. Right now I only have 1 book that fits that description, and I created a video kind of detailing why I rated that book that way even though I DNF'd it. Those in the middle, sometimes, I would otherwise love a book, but there are some things that maybe pull it down a star. For 3 stars, sometimes I don't know really how to rate them. I don't know how I feel at the end. And those 3-star books are ones that I do tend to want to read again, just so I can have a better understanding of the book. Because there are some things that maybe went over my head, or maybe I was just confused about, that when I read it again, or kind of read from a different angle with a different attitude, I can figure things out and not be so confused and adjust my rating accordingly. Those 3-star books are probably 4 stars at their core. It's just I was confused at the end. So it's really no big deal. For 2-star books, those are ones that also kind of fall into I didn't enjoy them, but I at least finished them. So there was something good about them that made me want to finish them. There's only one book that I feel I could drop to a 1-star rating. I haven't reviewed it yet because I don't really care to do it. But it was a book that I finished where the part that I absolutely hated happened at the end. And had it not happened at the end, I feel like I would have shut the book. So, there are some exceptions there, possibly, that I could go back and change. But yeah, TLDR, I do have star ratings. Sorry for going into so much detail, but I did kind of want to explain my process with that. Do you review your books? Yes, I do. I probably shouldn't because sometimes I don't really know what to say, and I feel like I force myself to do it because I feel like I have to. And I don't feel like I have to in the sense that I feel pressure by everybody else to do it. But I'm the type of person where if I have a problem with something, I need to tell you why. Because otherwise, I feel like my rating lacks value if I don't explain, like, this is why I rated it this way. But sometimes it's just hard to put into words why you feel the way you do about a book. So, like, I don't judge anybody for not actually reviewing their books, but I do feel that way about myself. So I put that pressure on myself to actually review and make sure people know, like, this is why I do or don't like a book. I would also like to think that maybe those reviews would spark conversation, but so far nobody has responded to any of my reviews, so they don't really matter very much. So really, what's my purpose? But I do review books anyway. I have applied that pressure to myself. Maybe eventually I'll realize that it's just a waste of my time and I won't do it. Where do you put your finished books? So sometimes I let my mom borrow books that I enjoy that I think that she would like too. And I also have a neighbor who enjoys reading, and I've let her borrow some of my books too. But really, they just go back on my shelf. I could probably donate some to a library or one of those little free library boxes, but right now I have the space, so I can afford to put them on the shelf again. And there are some books that I would honestly, I don't know, a few years down the line I might want to read again. And I do have a buddy read planned with somebody from MJ's Discord server later on this year. So, I mean, I think it's kind of good to keep track of certain books, but I do in the future want to, start donating some, especially since I don't think that I'm going to reread some of them, even if they were great. That's something for the future, but right now I just put them back on the shelf. How do you pick your next book? So I pick my books based on mood. So if I read a heavy book now, I tend to want to read something light afterwards. Last year, I ran into an issue where I read so many deep, introspective, somewhat sad novels in a row, and I felt bogged down, and the mood affected me. They were amazing books, and I rated them as such. I think I gave them all 5 stars, actually. But the fact was that reading too much of the same mood or the same theme in a row kind of makes me mimic that mood. So I have to read something light. If I read a book that's really long, then I need to read a short book afterwards, just so I feel like I'm pushing forward and I'm moving towards my reading goals. Reading goals aren't necessarily pressuring me, but I do like to kind of keep moving, keep the flow going. You know what I mean? I don't like to be bottlenecked. So yeah, there are multiple reasons why I pick my next book, but I think that they can all be kind of narrowed down. I pick books based on what I'm feeling that I need at the time. Do you have any rituals when you have finished the book? Yeah, of course. I lay it on the floor and I dance around it. No, I just rate it. That's all I do. Rate and review, put it back on the shelf. And who do you tag? I don't really know anybody. So if you see this video and you have a Booktube channel, just, tag yourself. Go ahead, go for it. It's cute little tag. These questions were pretty simple, so just do your thing. I tag you. You. Anyway, I've been Jim. You've been great. Happy reading and happy tagging.